So I am so excited to be here with Damian Goldvarg, who many years ago I took a coaching course from. And while I decided I would be a terrible coach, I'm much more of a directive consultant. Um, I find and have found that over the years, I use so much of what I learned from Damian in my consulting. Damian has written yet another book, because this is far from his first. And I'm hoping you'll tell me what inspired you to write this particular book.
So Janet, thank you for inviting me to have a conversation with you about this book. And this is my 11th book that I am publishing. And I have been working as you know, training coaches for many years, but I also have been working with leaders and helping leaders from all kinds of organizations to be more effective at coaching their colleagues, how they can demonstrate and implement some of these coaching skills in everyday conversations to support their team members to be more effective, to provide a supportive space for learning and growth. So I thought, well, it's time for me to share some of what I have been doing for more than 30 years and training leaders on coaching skills. So ideally, I thought that there would be a manual, and I wrote it originally in Spanish. And the book was published last year in Spanish, and it went really well. And then I translated to English, but the publisher thought that it would be better if it was not a manual, so I removed all of the exercises, and it's more like a textbook and bring a lot of examples, and it's about supporting leaders to be more coach-like. So the idea is to develop a coaching mindset. So when we are working with our colleagues, we can pay attention to opportunities to support them, to challenge them, to coach them so they can develop, learn, and grow.
So you just mentioned coaching mindset, and can you define that for me?
Yeah, coaching mindset is when you pay attention to learning opportunities and you value people working for you and you want to invite them to come up with their own solutions. So instead of telling people what to do, a coaching mindset allows you to look for opportunities to challenge people so they can do their own thinking. So basically, a coaching mindset means that you hold a space for people to think. But it's more difficult than telling people what to do. And being an expert and sharing your knowledge and your wisdom, that's easy. But holding the space and making people to think and helping them to come up with their own solutions, it's a little bit more challenging.
Yeah, and so what are some common challenges that leaders face when they're trying to adopt that kind of a mindset?
Well, the first one is time, because it takes a little bit of time or investing time to have the conversation. Coaching is always a conversation. And having a coaching mindset means that you have a framework to have conversations that are effective and follow some guidelines. Like instead of telling people what to do, it's about listening, how effective you are at listening and asking questions. So being curious to see what may be underlying. So time is one of the main challenges. People say, oh, I don't have time for this. The question is, if you do not invest time, what is the cost? So not spending time in having the conversations may mean that later you have to have other conversations to repair things that are not working, or people who are not as engaged and motivated. So I believe that that will be the number one. And the second is that we are basically, as you know, trained to give answers and to problem solve and find solutions. So we want to be helpful. So it's easier to tell people what to do than asking questions and supporting people to come up with their own solutions. So I would say these are the two main challenges.
I remember that was my hardest thing in during coaching practices that we did in the class.
Yeah.
And because I knew I couldn't give answers, I would find myself asking very leading questions. And that was so frustrating for me because I'm such a perfectionist. I want to do everything perfectly.
Yeah. Well, you are not alone. As you can see, you're not alone. And there is a learning curve. And also there is a tendency to go back to telling versus listening. So a key element here is listening. And I believe that sometimes people want to be told what to do, but many times people want just to be listened to. They
Yeah.
want you to understand where they're coming from, what are their challenges, without necessarily to get a solution. So it depends. Different people need different things. So part of being an effective leader is understanding what different people need and support them to the extent that you can to provide what they need.
Hmm. So, what advice would you give to a leader who wants to begin developing the coaching mindset but hasn't a clue what they need to do?
Well, first get the book, get my book.
Which I'm going to interrupt you. We forgot to say the name of the book.
Yeah, the name of the book is Lead with a Coaching Mindset. So the idea is how you bring the coaching mindset to your work in Levin. How the best leaders unlock potential is the subtitle. So it's about unlocking the potential from people so they can do their best, be at their best, because they feel supported and engaged and motivated and inspired by their leaders. So it's number one. And we also provide some training that go with the book. And there are different ways. Like now I am doing with the local chapter, the International Coaching Federation, a session that is open to the public. It's free and it's once a month, the third Wednesday of the month,
Hmm.
and from 12 to 1 Pacific Standard Time, the lunchtime, to take your lunch and come and join and talk to other leaders and coaches about how to bring this coaching mindset to your work as a leader. Yeah.
So, I have a million other questions for you, but anything else you think that most of the people who are going to be watching this are nonprofit leaders or board members, which who are also leaders. Any words of wisdom for them?
Yeah, well, I believe that leaders these days are facing many challenges, from political issues, government policies, what's happening with the level of anxiety of people around economic issues. Like I know most of your, Janet, most of your community is here in the United States, if I am not wrong. So we are facing many challenges, and AI, artificial intelligence, and technology, and being prepared to deal with these new trends. And I believe that sometimes it's lonely being in leadership positions where you do not have support. So I always, when the leader that I work is, look for places and resources to get support. You shouldn't be doing this alone.
Hmm.
From a coaching, working with a coach or working with a peer, somebody who has a similar job in a different organization. I believe in peer coaching, where you coach each other and support each other. Looking for certain groups with leaders, group for executive directors or for leaders in organizations, is look for places where you can receive and provide tools, support to others. And then in the book that I wrote, I followed the International Coaching Federation guidelines in terms of the same way that we train coaches. We use some of the same principles and skills to train leaders. So we work on how to build skills. So skill building, foresight, study of the future, pay attention to trends, be sure that you are engaged, for example, in that way that we met through the Center for Nonprofit Management is a place where you can find resources.
Hmm.
And the skills that I present in the book that also are skills for leaders to pay attention to goes from how to be effective, being an ethical leader, how to make right decisions with an ethical framework, how to build trust. You cannot give that for granted. How to be present. And each of the competencies is a chapter. How to listen effectively. How to work with your team members so you help them to get new perspectives and have flexibility and have new insights and learn. And we have a chapter also on team coaching, how to be a good team leader. How do you lead a team where you need to bring people together? And finally, a chapter on foresight, with how you are prepared to embrace new trends and be ready. Is what is called now future proof, but it's challenging to be ready to any challenges that may come up for you.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm looking forward to getting a copy and reading the book. And I appreciate this.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time and interviewing me. And I am a resource. If people want to reach out to me, I will give them my email and website so they can learn more about our work.
Yeah, I'll put that underneath so
Great.
people can just click through.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time and your input.